So, 4th grade. This is lesson 6.1. So we're going to do a little more to understand factors and factor pairs. So remember, a factor is the number that you multiply to get an answer. Factor pair are the two numbers together that give you some product. Okay, so in your Explore and Grow, it says draw two different rectangles that have an area of 24 square units. So the area is just how many squares are in that rectangle. So we want the rectangle to have 24 squares in it. Okay, so you're going to try and find two different ways. Okay, so think about 24. What numbers can you multiply to get 24? Now remember, every product, every number has at least one factor pair, one in itself. So one of your rectangles could be 1 square deep and 24 squares long. 24, another way you could get 24, 6 times 4 is 24. So you could do 6 going down and 4 going across and make that rectangle. So that's up to you. There's several more to get 24. The second part says compare your rectangles to your partner's. Well, your partner is not at school with you, so you can skip that part, and that's fine. How is each side length related to 24? Okay, so if you have 1 and 24, those are factors, right, of 24. If you did 6 and 4, those are factors of 24. So how are the side lengths related to 24? Well, they're the factors of 24. So that's kind of the first page. So we're going to be working with factor pairs. We're going to be working some with rectangles, like in the example on the first page, to find factor pairs. So in our example, it wants to find the factor pairs of 20. Find the side lengths of as many different rectangles with the area of 20 square units as possible. Okay, so here they give us 3 different rectangles. Our first one has a side length of 1. This one, you would count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this one has 1, and then up here is 20. Okay, this one 2, and then it gives you the 2, so you'd go across, you'd count them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. This one, it gives you 5, you're going to count down. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4. So these side lengths, those are the factor pairs. The factor pairs of 20 are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. Okay? A rectangle, if you were to flip them, right, so that instead of 1 and 20 it was 20 and 1, 20 times 1, those are still the same, that's still the same factor pair, right? Because even though we flipped it, it's still the same 2 digits. It's still, or numbers, it's still the same 2 numbers. So there's 3 factor pairs for 20. All right, so in some of your problems, you're going to be given the rectangle and you're going to identify the factor pairs by counting the sides. In some of them, you're going to have to draw the rectangles yourself. Excuse me. This is where knowing your multiplication tables comes in pretty handy, because you can think, for 16, what would my factors be for 16? Well, you always can do 1 and that number. So one of your rectangles will always be 1 and that number, 1 and 16 long. Think, what else can you multiply to get 16? Well, remember, like I talked about in the vocabulary section, any number that's even, which 16 is even, one of the factors is going to be 2. So you could do, one of them is 1 across, 1 times 16 is 16, so you'd go 16 across. is an even number, so any number that's even, one of the factors is going to be 2. So I know that it's 2 across, and so then I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, and so there's another one of my rectangles. And then you would say, you know, this one's 2 and this across is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 and 8 are a factor pair for 16. And there is one more factor pair of 16. So think about your multiplication, think about, or, you know, you can just go down your numbers. We did 1, we did 2. Can you multiply 3 by something to get 16? No. What about 4? Can you multiply 4 times something to get 16? Yes, you can. Okay, so that would be another one, would be 4. And then you would count till you get to 16. And remember, you want it to be a rectangle or a square. You want the sides to be, you know, at least 2 of the sides to be the same. So we don't want any wonky shapes for our areas, because that won't give us the factor pairs that we're looking for. Alright, so you're going to be drawing rectangles to help you identify. You're going to be finding factor pairs for the numbers given. So the multiplication is going to come in handy. If the rectangles, drawing the rectangles helps you, when you get down here, you can certainly do that. You can find graph paper online, or they make notebooks of it if drawing those squares is easier for you. Now think about, we're going to talk about arrays. Now arrays, these rectangles, they're essentially arrays. It's an array of 8 by 2 or 2 by 8. So let's look at our example of modeling real life. You want to organize 30 pictures into a rectangle array on a wall. How many different arrays can you make? So first we need to know how many ordered pairs are there that can make, or not ordered pairs, I'm sorry, factor pairs, that can make 30. Okay, we'll think 1 is always one of the factors, right? 1 times that number. So one of my factor pairs is going to be 1 and 30. Okay, 30 is an even number because it ends with a 0. So 2 is also going to be one of my factor pairs, or part of my factor pair. 2 times what? In this case would be 2 times 15. Okay, and so I'm just going to go down the line until I start getting to my repeated numbers. So 3. Can 3 times something equal 30? Absolutely. 3 times 10. Okay, what about 4? No. 4 times 6 is 24, 4 times 7 is 28, 4 times 8 is 32. So it can't go into 30 evenly, so 4 is not a factor of 30. The next one would be 5. 5 times, and if it is a multiple of 5, if it ends with a 0 or a 5, 5 is a factor. So 5 times what is 30? 5 times 6. Okay, now my next one, so I've just been going down, right, the number line. 1, 2, 3, 4 wasn't 1, 5. The next number is 6. Well, I've already done that factor pair because it's 6 times 5. So once you get to where it starts repeating itself with just the flip, you're done. So we're not going to count this one because I already have that factor pair. Okay, so I have 4 factor pairs to make 30. So the first thing you need to find is how many arrays can you make? Or how many different factor pairs can you make for 30? There are 4. We figured that out. Now each factor pair can make 2 different arrays because you could do 1 times 30, right, which would go in a straight line this way, or you could do 30 times 1, which would go in a straight line this way. So for this factor pair, remember, because you can flip them. So this one has 2, that one has 2, because you could do 2 times 15 or 15 times 2. 3 times 10 or 10 times 3. So each one of those has 2 different arrays that it can make. So then we're going to take the number of factor pairs times the number of arrays it can make, because it wants to know how many different arrays can you make. Okay, so you take the number of factor pairs times 2, because each factor pair can make 2 different arrays. So 4 times 2 is 8. So there are 8 different ways that you could arrange 30 pictures in arrays on your wall. So the word problems are going to be a little bit like that. You know, how number 14 is the exact same kind of problem. It wants to know how many different arrays you can make. So think about your factor pairs, think about multiplication. For me, the easiest way to find my factor pairs is to start with 1 and just work my way down the number line. Can 1 times something equal my answer? Well, always. 1 times something will always equal your number. If it's even, 2 times something will. And just work your way down until you get to those repeated factors. And then you found all your factor pairs. So that for me is the easiest way to find factor pairs. The rectangles may help you some. For the ones that ask you to draw rectangles, go ahead and draw them. And that is lesson 6.1. That was the intro pages, and then you've got the homework and practice that you'll do. It's the same kind of stuff, and then you'll have a little bit of review at the end of your lesson, as you normally do. And that is the end of lesson 6.1. So if you have any questions on factor pairs, on how to find them, the biggest thing that's going to help you is to keep working on your multiplication tables. You can find them online to print them off. If you need me to print them for you, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know. And keep working on them, keep memorizing them, because it'll help you a lot as you're doing these factor pairs. But if you have any questions, or if you'd like me to print that off for you, just let me know, and I'm happy to help, and I will see you for lesson 6.2. Bye.